against Fraternity in our final match before the break for AT15. Let's hand it over to the casters.
Hello everybody and welcome to AT15. My name is Brett Thomas. I'm here with Moderator and we're going to watch the Fraternity Dot vs Rote Kapelle match. Rote Kapelle have warped, I think apart from their Rattlesnake, in at 50. They've brought a Scimitar, dual Gilas, 2 Cerberuses, a Stork, a Kitsune, a Griffin and a Melon. Moderator, what do you think about the bans for this match?
Yeah, so both teams really deciding that they don't want to see any sort of armor composition. The Deacon being the go-to Logi frigate, and the go-to Tech 2 armor Logi being the Guardian and Neo Neros. Neither side probably has a Rabisu, and the Eos as well being the standard drone armor link boat. So both sides have decided that they want to go for drones, but they want to go for a shield variant. Fraternity mirroring the top 4 ships of Rote Kapelle, but going for a pair of Ishtars, a Bifrost, 2 Vexors, and a Daredevil. And I don't think we've seen much in the way of shield Vexors so far, Brett.
Yeah, I think shield Vexors do something different than armor Vexors. Shield Vexors have much more damage, seeing as you can fill those low slots with drone damage and drone application, but what you lose in doing that is a hell of a lot of the free mid slots with the target painters, the tracking disruptors, hell, even tackle in these mids. So they do a lot more damage, but they don't bring as much to a team.
Yeah, the having to put all the mid slots for tank means that you don't have that utility. You also can't do things like put 3 drone navigation computers. That's something we've seen a lot. I'm really excited to see which teams decide to open up with their primaries and where they go. I expect to see a Scimitar be chewed through rather quickly, or one of the cores to be the primary. Kitsune already choosing to jam the Ishtar and the Rattlesnake, probably indicative of the fact that they won't have Mimitar jammers, but as I say that, jam's now going on to John Bush of the Scimitar.
Yeah, Fraternity seem to be pulling away. They want Rote Kapelle to come and fight them so they can have that little bit of a range bonus. As Fraternity Dot is just starting to drop their drones now, dropped a huge amount of Praetors that is burning towards, I believe it's a Gila. Yes, it's the Gila of Yumi Mayhin. As their Scimitar of Giant Bush starts to get shot.
Yeah, so this is one of the weaknesses, again, of that shield drone comp, is that it's taking so long for these Praetors to go across the field, and they are now finally getting on top of Yumi Meijin, and will start doing some appreciable damage, but it's coming in rather late. Rote Kapelle, for their efforts, either aren't doing that much damage, both attack bars being very high potentially, but very little of that actually applying to anything so far.
Yeah, it seems like Rote Kapelle has brought a hell of a lot of shield maintenance bots and EC drones. They seem to be spreading the EC drones out and trying to keep both these Gilas alive with these shield rep bots, as the Gila for Fraternity is finally starting to go down. It looks like they've got a huge amount of rapid light damage and Cerberus damage onto this Gila as it starts to drop into armor.
Yeah, the healers can have, in addition to their drones, they can fit rapid lights in their high slot, being bonus to damage but not range. So we can see that the healers are starting to brawl and to try to close to the 40 kilometers that they need to apply the damages. And of course, Cerberuses can apply excellent kinetic damage nearly any range in the arena. Rote Kapelle doing good damage to the heal, which is somewhat stabilizing, and Fraternity being unable to break this Griffin and Merlin so far, now doing a damage swap to Jaelon in the Kitsune and dropping him.
Yeah, he managed to get 1 rep off rep drone, but didn't manage to stay alive. That was very good target swapping by Fraternity, bouncing between the Griffin, the Merlin, and the Kitsune to find one and to catch out Ruri Hishono in the Scimitar as he's trying to keep those small ships alive, while Rote Kapelle are still just trying to get this Gila. He's bouncing between really low shields, and he's dropped about half of his armor, but he seems to be stabilizing.
Speaking of excellent small ship piloting, Angry Panda, in his Daredevil, when he was getting primary, started heaving away and burning away from the core of Rote Kapelle, having excellent presence of mind to try to pull range from the rapid light damage. And once the damage came off of him, he was going back in to try to commit and get webs, and then once he got reprimaried, he pulled again. Rote Kapelle still trying to break down Swanakaras in the Gila, while Fraternity is doing a much better job at applying damage to Cyclohexanol on the Rote Kapelle side.
Yeah, the Gila is now starting to drop into armor, but it's just managing to catch rep from the Scimitar. It seems like the outgoing damage on it is just about not enough, but it's finally got grappled and it's being muted. But it looks like the Fraternity Scimitar has been jammed. It looks like they're going to drop this Gila. The only thing keeping it alive is its ancillary shield booster.
Yeah, so with that, Swanakaras is dropping, and Angry Panda is having a lot more difficulty surviving. But the Rattlesnake on top of that Gila means that Cyclo should be having difficulty pulling range, and the Rattlesnake is now jammed as we see the grappler drop off. Angry Panda finally drops in his Daredevil, and Cyclo should be burning away, but he might not be able to with the Newts putting pressure on his propulsion and tank.
Yeah, the Griffin of Kanye North is doing really, really well here. He's managed to get two very crucial jams off on the Rattlesnake and the Scimitar to keep his team alive. I think that big RNG roll is the thing that's going to win them this match as the second Gila starts to go down. I think the Scimitar pilot of Giant Bush is screaming at his computer because he can't lock anything at all.
Yeah, you really can't tell Kanye North anything. Gila is dropping, and without locks from the Scimitar, he had no way to sustain the tank. That Griffin, only at 3 points, is doing excellent work, getting crucial jams either from a multispectral or a Minmatar jammer onto that Scimitar. And now Zealand Zhang in his Vexor is losing chunks of his shield at a time. One of them will be a propulsion on that Vexor. Vexor is not known for having good shield tank, and Rote Kapelle is in a commanding position.
Yeah, I really feel sorry for Fraternity here. I think they disrespected a little bit the EC drones, because by the looks of it, the Rattlesnake is jammed not by the Griffin, it's jammed by the 4 EC drones that are sitting on top of it.
Yeah, that's absolutely heartbreaking. The Merlin of Brian Rickman appearing to have ran out of the boundary of the arena, but at the same time, Slow Farah D in his Vexor is dropping.
Yeah, I can confirm the Merlin of Rickman did fly out the arena and boundary, but it wasn't a close arena edge, it was the far arena edge, so he probably disconnected, which is why you saw him flying in a straight line. The Scimitar of Giant Bush is finally going down. The entirety of the Rote Kapelle team have got it in their rapid light range and are just nuking it as it finally ran out of ancillary charges.
Yeah, Giant Bush drops, and with it, leave the backbone and the hopes of Fraternity with it. Fraternity, a team that came in top 16 last year. Rote Kapelle having a lot of difficulty in the last couple years achieving Alliance Tournament success, but showing that they're back to play with some of the mid-tier teams and really trying to earn this spot back into the round of 16.
Yeah, it is up to ability. The Rote Kapelle did something really smart here. Seeing that Fraternity banned armor, they could have skewed these Kitsune and Griffin jams towards these shield chips, and that's what's making the biggest difference. Having these racial jammers just nuke everything, but the Rote Kapelle Gila of Cyclo looks like it's finally going down. Fraternity still have enough damage to kill things here.
They still have enough damage to kill things, but while drone ships don't care that much relatively about jams compared to other things, the Rattlesnake won't be able to apply missiles. The Ishtar of D. Mason now dropping. Rote Kapelle just has significantly more damage, being a total of 42 points up, and is applying it much, much better. Fraternity having a decent showing, but Rote Kapelle really showing depth and presence of mind, like you were saying, with those racial jammers, knowing that Fraternity was very unlikely to have a strong Galente or Minmatar backbone, and showing an excellent composition so far and good execution of it.
Yeah, because finally the Scimitar of Ruri Hoshini has been scram muted by this Rattlesnake. He's trying to stay alive with his ancillary reps, but the jams aren't going to save him, because as Rote Kapelle is killing the Bifrost and the Ishtar at the same time, he's probably going to go down to this Rattlesnake damage, to the drone damage of the Rattlesnake.
Yeah, again, well played by Rote Kapelle. I would have maybe have liked to have seen them do a little bit better job of screening off the scimitar, but one of the weaknesses of going with these kind of kitey teams, and we often see rush teams being able to exploit this, is that Rote Kapelle doesn't really have anything besides Rickman to actually lock down and tackle anything. So they're really gambling on being able to out-kite and apply damage, and to their credit, it's working. Light Heaven and the Bifrost dropping, meaning that the only remaining ship will be Small Pay. Excellent username, cutting it off like that. Speaking of things that getting cut off, Fraternity's chances of going any further in the upper bracket, as Rory Hoshino is somehow grappled and neuted by that rattlesnake.
Yeah, he has been using for quite a while and grappled for quite a while. It looks like he doesn't have enough cap to be able to micro warp drive away. He's trying to keep stuff alive and just sat here pulsing his ancillary rep, hoping Rote Kapelle can kill Fraternity's rattlesnake before it dies. But by the looks of it, Rory Hoshino, you did really well, but you got caught, and that's the end of the scimitar.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how you get caught in a scimitar to a rattlesnake that's not going at any appreciable speed, but for their side, Rote Kapelle will be taking the win. Fraternity, a team that I expect to see do good things in the lower bracket. Unfortunately, just coming up against a composition in jams that they really weren't equipped to deal with. One of the difficulties of a shield composition is that you don't have the mid slots to have things like remote sensor boosters or mid slots that can really keep yourself sustained against those jams, and well played by Rote Kapelle.
I can confirm from a Rote Kapelle member that Rickman in the Merlin did actually disconnect, and that's what forced him to fly out the arena.
Well, if there's any ship that you would rather have disconnect, it would be a Merlin. Thankfully, It wasn't a something that caused Rote Kapelle to lose, like the Rattlesnake or another core ship. And well played by both teams. I really look forward to seeing both of them in the tournament. And to break down this end of our half of the day will be Apothy and the rest of our excellent studio.
We've got the Kings of Lowsec with Project Mayhem.
Hey guys, welcome back. We will be going to the break soon, but first let's have a little analysis of that match. Really gorgeous match there. Rattlesnake and Slep Mirror there going on. Definitely a comp we have seen before a little bit so far today, but not a whole lot. How does Rattlesnake, Slep, and kind of Rattlesnake top-end teams fit into this year's meta at Reload?
Rattlesnake teams tend to be a very shield, very tanky core, where usually you'll have a skimmy running around while the Geelers and the Rattlesnakes will go in and try and kite away, or they'll brawl in, depends what their support is. Fraternity brought Ishtars, while Rote Kapelle brought Cerberuses, so you can definitely see Ishtars definitely for that drone damage, while Cerberus is more for that anti-support.
Yeah, so Ithaca, you know, when you're bringing a Rattlesnake or even two, that is a lot of points in your top end, 23 points for Rattlesnake. What's your personal preference towards filling out that support wing? Are you going to go for the tackle to try and hold things down so those cruises and those heavy drones can apply? Do you prefer a bit of control in your shield teams to maybe mitigate some incoming damage and tank even harder? Or what's your preference? I mean, maybe even bombers, sorry.
Bombers are always a great addition to a comp, especially if you do take those big, heavy battleships, which take up a huge chunk of your points. In this case, I think probably tackle is a good way to do it, because those ships are not very mobile. They're very slow. If they are scrammed, they're going to be even slower, unless they're AB fit, of course. And you really want to be able to get them in on top of something and start applying that damage. So it's quite important to have maybe heavy tackle in a Vexor for only 4 points, a fantastic one, or fast light tackle in a Daredevil to allow you to get something on top of them. Of course, this goes for both shield and armor.
Rhea, what were your thoughts on the match? Anything that you saw that was particularly interesting?
The Fraternity, they did the right thing and started, Starburst. They kited away from the Rote Kapelle team, but then their target calling was a bit weird. They tried to focus Aguila for so long, but eventually Rote Kapelle's burst DPS with those Cerberuses eventually killed one of their Gilas, and then Rote Kapelle also bringing the jams as well, so potentially jamming a Skimmy and then just killing off tackle and support just because the Skimmy can't get any reps on their support.
How do you guys think that the Rattlesnake-based teams are going to fare against the Navy battlecruiser corps this year? I mean, in theory, maybe the Rattlesnakes are going to have enough tank to be able to withstand the punishment from Navy battlecruisers, but by forcing yourself into that lighter bottom end, maybe the Navy battlecruisers can take advantage of that, win the support war before finally going onto the Rattlesnakes. Do you think there's a particular advantage or disadvantage in that specific matchup, or do you think it's all fair game depending on the comps and depending on the piloting?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's all down to piloting and comps and execution. So one team with a pretty garbage comp can beat another team with a better comp if they just simply fly better. I think the thing about bringing Rattlesnakes is when one of those goes down, you go from having almost all your DPS to half of that almost immediately. Now, if you've got like battle cruisers, sure, you may lose one of them before the Rattlesnake goes down, but your DPS drops off in smaller increments and allows you to keep applying that for much longer. And of course, Navy battle cruisers are going to be hitting the support ships, of which a Rattlesnake comp will have a lot harder.
Yep. Well, that was our last match for the first half of today there. We will go on a short break, but be back for the second half of the second day of Alliance Tournament 15 here at EVE NT. See you soon.